A music executive and community activist is accused of running a criminal empire in Los Angeles. Eugene Henley Jr. facing RICO charges, allegedly tying him to the notorious Rollin' 60s street gang. Eyewitness News reporter Sophie Flay has more on his appearance today in federal court.
A True Crime News exclusive, never-before-seen surveillance video of the crime as it unfolded. The father and son suspects trying to cover their tracks. Was it pre-planned or a robbery gone wrong?
I felt it was like super messed up because at the end of the day, it was me and Big Useless in there when it happened. So when it happened, I wish I could have just told him like, bro, just give up the jury and we get it back to you later. But it just happened so fast.
Okay, so there's some crazy new talk shaking up the streets right now, and it's all about Big U. Apparently, some hidden tapes just leaked, and they might contain some serious dirt. We're talking potentially incriminating stuff, the kind that reminds people of what went down with PNB Rock. Yeah, it's giving déjà vu vibes, and if this turns out to be true, it's going to blow up fast. These tapes are rumored to show Big U being connected to yet another artist's mysterious downfall. And honestly, the timing and the way things are lining up got people raising eyebrows. Now here's the part that'll make you lean in a little closer. Some folks are starting to wonder, did Big U really have a hand in eliminating another artist? Not just PNB Rock or Rashawn Williams. And how did these tapes even get out? Was it an inside job? A revenge move? Or did someone finally decide to spill the tea after keeping it bottled up for too long? Whatever the case, it's messy. And it's unfolding in real time. The kind of story where you'll be saying, I knew it, before it even hits the mainstream. So yeah, things are about to get deep. And if you're into real drama, mystery, and music industry secrets, you better stick around. Buckle up, because this ride is just getting started.
I felt it was like super messed up because at the end of the day, it was me and Big Useless in there when it happened. So when it happened, I wish I could have just told him like, bro, just give up the jury and we get it back to you later. But it just happened so fast and he wasn't cooperating. And that's when they took it off of him by force. You get what I'm saying? Give it up and then check in with the real people. So we're going to find a jury and we're going to get it because we know all the pawn shops, we know all the people that's going to melt it down and everything like that. So as soon as it comes on their table, we got it. Okay, get it, go in that back room, make that phone call, put them on the phone.
Now, if you're one of those folks who haven't been keeping up with the latest drama, then buckle up, because things just got real in the world of hip-hop. Big U, once praised as the godfather of hip-hop, is now making headlines for all the wrong reasons. This isn't just some internet rumor. This man is known for mentoring legends like Nipsey Hussle and managing artists like Corrupt, and has now turned himself in to face federal RICO charges. That's right, fraud, extortion, and even assassination are on the list. And the streets of LA, along with the entire rap scene, are shaken. According to federal prosecutors, this isn't just about shady business deals. The 43-count indictment against Eugene Big U Henley paints a dark picture of a man who allegedly used his power in the music industry as a mask for a criminal empire. The charges range from stealing charity money and scamming COVID-19 business loans to threatening rappers using that infamous checking-in rule, where artists are expected to show respect and sometimes cash when stepping into certain hoods. But the most disturbing part, he's being accused of orchestrating the bloodshed of 21-year-old aspiring rapper Rashawn Williams, a young talent who once shared a football field with Big U's own son, NFL linebacker Dayan Henley. To make it even more tragic, Big U reportedly even coached the boy back in school. So what exactly happened to Rashawn Williams? According to reports, Big U's label, Unique Music, had flown him out to Las Vegas in 2021 to record music. They paid for his travel and even covered his Airbnb. But things took a dark turn when he started missing sessions. Witnesses say Big U personally went to check on him, and later, Williams recorded some music that same night. But before long, things spiraled. An FBI agent revealed that Williams had recorded a diss track aimed at Big U himself, mentioning being shot in the face and referencing a .38 revolver with no trace. Authorities believe Big U heard that song and didn't take it lightly. What followed is the stuff of nightmares. Witnesses say Big U returned to the studio looking either drenched in sweat or water. The next morning, Rashawn's lifeless body was found in a ditch near a landfill in Nevada, shot multiple times in the face. Investigators believe Big U not only executed him, but also tried to wipe away all evidence, even going as far as removing studio surveillance and equipment. Though the DNA results from the scene were inconclusive, they did not rule Big U out as a suspect. In fact, the Justice Department laid it out clearly. Henley destroyed a victim, identified as R.W., who recorded a defamatory song about him, then dumped the body off Interstate 15. That single act sparked a much larger investigation. Federal agents started looking closer at Big U's ties with the notorious Rollin 60 street gang. They've long suspected he used his reputation in the streets not just to mentor young rappers, but to intimidate and control. The case claims he embezzled donations through his anti-gang charity, Developing Options, and used it to hide criminal activity behind a good cause. Meanwhile, Unique Music, his record label, reportedly received COVID relief money it didn't qualify for, adding fraud to the ever-growing list of charges. After news broke of the massive RICO case, Big U didn't stay silent. He went live on social media saying, "This is probably going to be my last video," before announcing he was turning himself in. He even threw names like Whack 100 and 600 into the mix, hinting that they might have cooperated with the feds to bring him down. Claims Whack 100 denied. But let's be real, that video only added more fuel to the fire. Now, the stakes are higher than ever. If convicted, Big U could spend decades behind bars. 20 years for racketeering conspiracy, 30 years for bank fraud, and more for robbery, extortion, theft of federal funds, and tax evasion. What once looked like a legacy built on community work and industry success might crumble into one of the biggest scandals the hip-hop world has seen. And as this case unfolds, people are left wondering, was Big U the street-savvy mentor the culture needed, or a behind-the-scenes enforcer hiding in plain sight? Now let's dig deeper into the man behind the headlines. Big U was born in 1966, not long after his mother moved from Chicago to South Central LA. He grew up near 81st and Hoover, ground zero for the birth of the Crips in 1969. His father was reportedly affiliated with Chicago's Black P. Stone Nation, one of America's earliest major black gangs. That legacy followed Big U to the West Coast. He first got involved with a local clique called the Arlington Gang, led by his cousin, Chili Capone. Eventually, they were absorbed into the Rollin 60s. Even back then, Big U was knee-deep in street life, running with car theft crews, doing time in juvie, and bouncing back and forth between LA and Chicago. But in 1979, everything escalated when a brutal gang war erupted between the Rollin 60s and their arch-rivals, the 8 Trey Gangsters. After his cousin was executed, Big U returned to LA with vengeance in his heart. He was already an intimidating presence, known for his fists long before guns became the norm. Back in the day, many rivalries were settled through hand-to-hand combat. One infamous battleground was the World on Wheels skating rink, a hotspot where gang members clashed. But the real turning point came in August 1986, during a Run DMC concert in Long Beach. According to Big U, the Rollin 60s showed up just to start trouble. What followed was a massive brawl that left dozens injured and forced venues like the LA Palladium to cancel future shows out of fear. Throughout the 80s, Big U became a regular in county jail, facing charges ranging from first-degree M to attempted M of a peace officer. While many charges didn't stick, his time inside only boosted his street cred. According to the FBI, Big U rose to become one of the most feared enforcers in the Rollin 60s. He was reportedly shot 7 times during his reign, and during the height of the crack epidemic, described in reports as explosively destructive and often lethal. Big U helped expand the Rollin 60s' influence across cities like Minneapolis, Atlanta, and Chicago. It wasn't just savagery. Big U had strategy. He built networks, mentored younger gang members, and even began dipping into music. Rapper Poa LQ brought him on as a manager, banking on Big U's street reputation to open doors. He also helped guide the early career of Corrupt, who would go on to become one half of The Dog Pound and drop West Coast hits like Seawalk and We Can Freak It. But the street life caught up with him. In December 1991, Big U was arrested during a sting operation while trying to rob 33 pounds of cocaine from an undercover agent. He pulled a gun, cops swarmed in, and he was sentenced to 23 years in prison. News outlets branded him a top leader in the Rollin 60s. While hip-hop flourished in the 90s, Big U sat behind bars. But even there, his legend grew. There were whispers he knocked someone's eyeball out in a fight. In a later interview, he claimed to dominate the prison substance trade, even bribing guards to smuggle contraband. Still, something shifted. Inspired by moguls like Michael Harry O. Harris, who backed Death Row Records and helped launch Denzel Washington's career, Big U started reading, writing, and studying theology. On the outside, Corrupt kept his name alive, shouting him out in songs like We Can Freak It. But Big U wasn't untouched by tragedy. His brother, Dwayne Dry, a bodyguard for the Dog Pound, was fatally shot outside a studio. After serving 13 years, Big U was released in 2004 at the age of 37. By then, the Rollin' 60s had become LA's largest black street gang. But Big U pivoted. Drawing from his prison experience, he founded Developing Options, a nonprofit aimed at keeping kids off the streets. By 2025, he claimed to have helped over 6,000 youth and reduced gang brutality by 90%, backed by law enforcement and even Snoop Dogg. At the time, he dove back into the music business. Corrupt introduced him to Suge Knight, and the two bonded. Suge mentored him, even offering financial support. Together, they became one of the most feared duos in hip-hop. But Big U's aggressive business tactics mirrored Suge's, hard-hitting, no-nonsense, and often controversial. Some artists thrived under his guidance. Others mysteriously faded. Which brings us to Nipsey Hussle. Back in 1996, while still incarcerated, Big U co-founded Unique Music with Mark Bearclaw Martin. Once out, he set his sights on a Rollin' 60s rapper his nephew introduced him to, Nipsey Hussle. Big U helped him get early exposure, even securing a feature on Tupac's 2006 posthumous track, International. With Big U's support, Nipsey dropped his first video, Bullets Ain't Got No Name, and launched a mixtape series under the same name. But then, things got complicated. Nipsey reportedly wanted out of a 10-year production deal he signed in 2009 with Big U's label. On the Drink Champs podcast, Big U said he stopped managing Nipsey after a tour where police found illegal substances in his car. Although someone else took the charges, Big U said the vibe shifted. Rumors soon swirled. Big U was allegedly using Nipsey's tour buses to smuggle substances. Nipsey, now rising in fame, grew uneasy. Tensions peaked when Big U asked for studio equipment back for his son, a move that reportedly infuriated Nipsey. That's when Nipsey dropped the diss track, You Don't Got a Clue, aimed squarely at Big U. Though not officially released, it sparked serious chatter. Their relationship fractured beyond repair. And that's exactly why some believe Big U had a hand in Nipsey's tragic death. Now, with fresh developments in the investigation of PNB Rock's case, some are wondering, could Big U have been involved in that too?
The music world is mourning the loss of PNB Rock. Law enforcement sources tell the Los Angeles Times the rapper died on September 12th in a shooting at a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles restaurant in South LA. Police confirmed to E! News that a man was killed in a shooting at the 100 block of Manchester Ave, but the victim's identity was not shared.
In case you didn't know, PNB Rock born Rakim Hashim Allen was more than just another rapper chasing fame. He came from the raw, unforgiving streets of Philadelphia, where survival often meant choosing between music and mayhem. Raised in Germantown, life hit him hard from the beginning. His father was assassinated when he was just 3 years old, leaving his mother to raise him and his siblings alone. As a teen, he got caught up in the streets, landing in juvenile detention centers and later serving time for robbery. But it was during those low moments that he turned to music, pouring all his pain, hopes, and scars into melody. His blend of rap and R&B, gritty yet soulful, captivated fans across the country. Tracks like Selfish and Fleek didn't just put him on the map, they made him a voice for the broken and misunderstood. PNB wasn't just making music, he was telling the stories of those trapped in cycles of poverty, brutality, and lost dreams. Before all of this, before the headlines, the heartbreak and the bullets, PNB Rock was trying to build a new life. He had survived more than most. The elimination of his brother Steph, constant run-ins with the law, and near-death experiences in the streets. In his final interviews, he opened up about how fatherhood had changed him, how losing loved ones pushed him to move smarter, and how the rap game had become even more dangerous. He knew people were watching, lurking, and waiting for a moment of vulnerability. He even told DJ Academics that LA felt unsafe, how people had tried to rob him in broad daylight with his family by his side. Despite that, he kept pushing forward. He wasn't just rapping for money, he was rapping for survival, redemption, and a chance to leave the streets behind. And so, on September 12, 2022, what should have been just another quick bite at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles turned into a tragedy that shook the culture. PNB Rock and his fiancée Stephanie were in town for a wedding and planned to return to Atlanta later that day. But they made one last stop, Roscoe's on Main and Manchester. Stephanie, feeling something was wrong, begged him to leave his jewelry in the car. He refused. He believed God was watching over them. "It's okay, we got God. God got us," he reassured her. But even he admitted feeling uneasy as they walked in. It was a famous place, but infamous too. The Game once warned artists about this very location, cautioning them about chain snatchers and lurking predators. PNB and Stephanie had no idea that danger was just moments away. While inside, PNB ran into a man named Tremont Jones. A casual greeting, adapt turned deadly. Tremont immediately alerted his associate, Freddie Trone, about PNB's presence. Whether out of envy or desperation, that phone call would set off a chain of events that ended in bloodshed. Surveillance footage later revealed Trone receiving a gun wrapped in a towel outside the restaurant. Minutes later, Trone's 17-year-old son walked in with that very gun. He didn't just rob PNB, he threatened to slay Stephanie too. PNB, always the protector, shoved her under the table, shielding her with his body. But it wasn't enough. The young shooter fired 3 shots, striking PNB twice. As he lay on the floor bleeding, the teen ripped the jewelry from his body, grabbed Stephanie's Audemars bouquet, and ran. The aftermath was just as grim. Stephanie, trembling and heartbroken, later testified that the shooter looked like a scared kid who didn't even know what he was doing. And the truth? He was just 17. But even more shocking was the fact that his own father, Freddie Trone, had orchestrated the entire thing. After Tremont gave him the location, Freddie handed his son the weapon, stayed nearby, and waited. When it was done, they tried to cover their tracks, burning the getaway car, fleeing to Las Vegas, and trying to vanish. But the truth caught up fast. Freddie's wife, Chantel Trone, became entangled too. She admitted to seeing her stepson cleaning PNB's stolen jewelry and noticed burns on Freddie's arms, injuries he got while setting fire to the car. Freddie tried to plead innocence, claiming he was only there for a weed deal. But surveillance, testimonies, and mounting evidence told a different story. He was convicted of execution, robbery, and conspiracy. What makes all of this even more heartbreaking is that PNB was trying to change. He had already buried a brother, mourned a father, and escaped a past that wanted to swallow him whole. But the streets? They never really let go. His death wasn't just about a robbery. It was about betrayal, hunger, and a society where black men with success are hunted, envied, and exploited. Fat Joe once said that being a rapper today is like being an endangered species, and sadly, he was right. PNB Rock's story isn't just a tragedy, it's a warning, a reminder that no matter how far you rise, danger often comes from the shadows, sometimes wearing a familiar face. His legacy remains in his music, but his loss, that echoes forever in the hearts of those who loved him and those who listened. Now, if you're wondering, how does this connect to Big U? Well, buckle up. Big U hasn't been officially named by police in the PNB Rock case, but there's a whole lot of smoke swirling around his name. And you know how it goes. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. One of the biggest red flags didn't even come from law enforcement or the streets. It came from someone tied directly to him, Luce Cannon. This wasn't some random bystander. This was a dude who, in his own words, was right there at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles when PNB Rock was destroyed. At first, Luce made it sound casual, like a street story he's told 100 times. In an interview, he said, "Yeah, I was there. Dude wanted that chain. He said no, and boom, he took it and ran." Just like that. Cold, no emotion. Like PNB's life was just a moment in a movie scene. But the real shocker came later. Luce Cannon let something slip, something that blew the lid off this quiet speculation. In another interview, Luce didn't just admit he was there, he straight up said Big U was with him. He didn't say it with pride either. He threw shade while dropping the bombshell, referring to him as Big Useless, then said, "It was me and Big Useless in there when it happened." That statement changed everything, because if Big U was really in the building when PNB Rock was gunned down, and he didn't step in, didn't speak out, didn't even try to help, that's suspicious. That's not just bystander behavior, that's complicit silence. And here's where it gets even more eerie. Luce Cannon went on to say he wished he could have told PNB to give up the jewelry so they could get it back later, but things moved too fast. That sounds like someone who either knew what was about to go down or at least had a gut feeling that danger was in the air. That kind of regret doesn't come from a random witness. It comes from someone who felt too close to the action, maybe even part of the setup. Then came the real test. When Big U was asked about all of this, about his alleged presence, about what really happened, he went quiet. No denial, no outrage, no clearing his name, just silence. And that silence, it's loud. In a situation this serious where reputations and lives are on the line, staying quiet doesn't look strong, it looks guilty. Because if you're innocent, wouldn't you want the world to know? Wouldn't you shout it from the rooftops? Now the internet is doing what it does best, digging. People are pulling up old videos, interviews, clips, and past affiliations. They're connecting dots that seemed invisible before. And the more they look, the more the picture starts to come into focus. A picture where PNB Rock might have walked into a trap, and the people in that room weren't all strangers. They might have been smiling, dapping him up, and watching him fall. Do you think Big U really had nothing to do with it? Or is the silence his loudest confession?